Great stuff. So today we are back talking about the strength bias nutrition. So this is specific advice for those that are following the strength bias. So we are going to be covering, different sets, like 1 a day sessions, 2 a day sessions, and giving you some simple tips to help you get the most out of this program. Now, look, guys, I'm going to lay the groundwork here. Getting strong is tough. Okay, it takes a long time. It's a can be very frustrating process. But what we have to understand is it comes from more than just muscle mass, more than just muscle size. Okay, so there's a lot of different factors involved. Me and Steve spoke about this on the Q&A, and actually like technique, mobility, power output, neural drive. All of these different things can make a big effect on your strength. Power to weight ratio, can be a big thing. So, what we have to understand is it isn't just a bulk or a gains program. We are looking to improve your performance, okay, and improve your strength, and not just jack you up with a load of calories and set you on your way. So we need to set the foundations. First things first. So guys, before we go into anything nutrition-wise, training stimulus is the most important thing. Nobody got jacked walking on a treadmill, but you could lose weight if you wanted to, if you walked enough on a treadmill, but no one's getting stronger doing this. So you need to train in the correct way. Luckily, we have JST. But after that, we have a hierarchy of importance in terms of nutrition. Right, Tom?
Yeah, definitely. It's about kind of, like I say, putting things in order of priority. And we see so many people kind of jump too far ahead, worrying about, the kind of the micro before getting the macro right first. So if you're, not eating enough, if you're not supplying the body with enough kind of, raw fuel, it's not going to grow. It's not going to get bigger. You're not going to improve. Yes, you can get a little bit stronger, build some muscle in a deficit, but this isn't kind of, optimal performance and not a kind of long-term strategy. So, we need to be supplying the body with enough calories. And then the next, protocol is making sure that we're hitting a protein target. We'll talk through later on about, setting your diet plan up and knowing how much you should be eating. But, that's the most important one that comes next. Then, your carbohydrate intake. So making sure we're getting, the right amount at the right times to help with performance, help with recovery. And then kind of final step is, making sure we've got enough color in terms of, fruits and vegetables, and the right amount of healthy fat as well.
Yeah, exactly that. And like Tom said, like, don't get worried about the macro splits, like how many, like split of carbs, split of fats, like until you nail these two, they're the most important things. Like I said, we will be talking about these going forward. And we also will be delving into each, kind of thing a little bit more detail in future videos as well. So look, set the foundations. We will talk you through how to do that via the nutrition plan on the hub, but then we follow this process. So once we have our training stimulus correct, 1 a day, 2 a day, doesn't matter. As long as we're consistently following this, then we hit our overall calories. Like Tom said, yes, you can get, stronger in a deficit, but it's not a long-term solution. Okay. What we want to be doing is eating enough calories to support the volume of training and provide, like I say, the raw materials for growth, for replenishment, so we can keep progressing. Okay. So calories are king. Then we hit our protein, but to do that, rather than just kind of increasing, a massive meal, what we often see when people want to get a bit stronger, they just like, I need to eat a little bit more. So, what that happens is they might, I'll jump right ahead, you've seen everything. We would then increase meal frequency. Okay. Like I said, people often just kind of think about eating a lot more, and that usually is an evening meal. Whereas actually we need to increase meal frequency. This helps with protein distribution. It helps with not kind of overloading the digestive system. So like Tom, where can people kind of increase meal frequency? Like how can we kind of plug a few holes, like and really help with performance?
There's a couple of options. I think number one maybe to look at is maybe like around your training, because that will kind of give you good bang for your buck as well. So maybe eating a little bit more pre-workout is always going to help performance. Maybe eating a little bit more in your post-workout meal, as well. Particularly, you might feel quite hungry at that time of day, so that's always a good time to bump your calories up a little bit. You can also look at kind of like mini meals as well. So taking your snacks, making them a little bit bigger, a little bit more kind of better protein, carb, fat distribution. This could be a form of a liquid nutrition, particularly if you're someone who either struggles to eat that amount of food, or whether it's a time thing. Liquid nutrition can be a really good way to kind of get a mini meal in. You could use it at a time of day where maybe you feel like you need a bit more energy, you need a pickup, say kind of mid-afternoon, or let's say, or pre-workout nutrition. And also another option is to think about, pre-bed as well. And we'll touch on the reasons why for that a little bit later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So guys, there isn't a definitive way to say like, right, you need to make sure that you hit a certain number of meals a day. But if you can increase your meal frequency, this is the first step forward. Then once you've done that, once you've got a set meal frequency, like say an even distribution across the day, then we can start to increase that meal size. Tom touched on it there. Increase the size of your snacks to make them a mini meal, using, kind of more energy dense foods to increase the meal size without actually kind of increasing the volume. So the calorie density increases. So that's when you can, really start to kind of see some progress in terms of maybe weight gain. So meal frequency, often we see that performance and recovery improve, and then we can start to see a bit of change on the scale and how you're feeling.
I think that's a good point there, Liam. Sorry, just to butt in, is that when we talk about meal size, that's not always the size of the meal that's in front of you. Like a lot of people think about like, right, need to get stronger. Like, the meals have got to be massive. Like say that could be using, an extra tablespoon of olive oil to give yourself an extra 100 calories a meal. It could be keeping the skin on the chicken. It could be using a slightly higher fat mince. Like again, we don't want to be afraid of kind of these kind of foods. It's just getting the right amount in, and it's making the calories go up in size or go up in number, which makes the meal go up in kind of size. But it hasn't got to be like, three handfuls of broccoli at every meal to make your meals bigger,
Yeah, exactly that. We have got an article, guys, at the end of slides. It's also linked on the post on the hub here about how to eat more calories. Now, it seems like a stupid thing, but actually there's some simple tips and tricks that we've come up with that really help, because like I say, you can't just continually eat more. You stick a flag in it and it becomes a half an hour ordeal. So we need to be sensible with this. Once we've done these three key pillars, then we can add some supplementation. Okay. We can often, there are some supplements that actually are very, very crucial for gaining strength. We are going to do a separate video on this, but if creatine, making sure your vitamin D levels are good, zinc, magnesium, stuff like this, really, really important for people that are training quite regularly, but also want to increase their strength. We will cover this in a separate video, because then we make gains. Perfect. So guys, we're going to go into specific sessions now. So if you're doing the one session a day, how you can set your nutrition up, as well as the 2 a day. So look, one session a day, it really comes down to meal structure. And this is something that we're going to come on to for the plan when we show you the plan. But look, making sure that workout nutrition is on point, because if you're doing one session a day, it's probably going to be a relatively long session. It might be pushing over an hour and a half, maybe even to 2 hours, depending on warm up, cool down, the amount that you're doing. So what we want to be thinking about doing is making sure that we're going into that session fueled. Okay. If we're training first thing in the morning, that's totally cool. But then you really need to focus on an intra workout, because doing a 2-hour session, doing anything over 90 minutes, then we probably want to be starting to kind of put some intra workout in, just to make sure that that last portion of the session isn't just me getting through. You've got to still create that training stimulus. Okay, so rather than just kind of getting through and not seeing the progression, the first part of the session is the only way you kind of make some progress. Make sure that we get the most out of the whole session. And if you're doing one a day, this would be a really, really important thing to focus on, guys. If you've got pre-workout nutrition, then you might be able to kind of get through the 90 minutes, 2 hours. If you're training fasted first thing in the morning, I would highly recommend adding some intra-workout. Intra-workout, I mean some carbohydrates, some carb powders, all linked on the hub. You could even use, depending on, if you wanted to, depending on what's going to happen at the end of that session, you could use some protein and carbs, take that recovery shake and put it in. If you're just going to do some bodybuilding or hypertrophy or skill work at the end, and it's not like a WOD, then, kickstart that recovery process and get it in there rather than waiting another 45 minutes to after the session. So make sure you know your workout nutrition, guys. There's the whole timing of training program on the hub as well. Look, muscle soreness, again, you're making sure that you're doing one big session. We can often be sore afterwards. So, taking care of that, maybe going through the recovery program. But if you nail this and you nail your overall calories, you will reduce muscle soreness. All too often, Tom, I see people come to us and go, what foods are good for muscle recovery? Should I add turmeric? Should I add ginger? Should I use tart cherry juice? And to be honest, the number one thing is eating enough bloody calories and making sure you're hitting your protein targets. So don't get caught up in, like you say, the little micronutrient things, making sure that you're doing the most bang for your buck. And I've just put that one in there. We spoke about it on previous videos about eating enough the day before, like being proactive with your nutrition rather than chasing it on that day. Don't be going into your afternoon session or one a day going, holy crap, I feel really lightheaded, I haven't really eaten enough, because then you got a 2 hour or an hour and a half session ahead. Make sure that you're being proactive rather than reactive. So really, really key points there, guys. Tom, talk us through 2 a days, because I am not doing 2 a days at the moment. It is one and done. But you've got a few 2 a day sessions happening each week now. So talk us through this.
So with 2 a day, particularly for myself, I think going into that first session, the biggest kind of thing I've kind of taken away from putting a few things in place nutritionally is trying to get a little bit of something in pre-session 1. Not really so much to get me through it, but like I say, it's just that bigger picture that helps with my recovery across the day. It helps me hit my higher calorie target. And it kickstarts that recovery process between session 1 and session 2, particularly if session 1 is quite, long, 30, 40 minutes of conditioning. For me, my goal is that second session, that strength session. Yeah. So I want to make sure that I'm eating enough in between sessions. So my goal is always to eat and then eat again. So in terms of whether that's a recovery shake and then a meal, or a meal and then a decent kind of pre-workout snack going into that second session. So I don't end up, opening up my fitness pal, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock later on the day and being like, oh my God, I've got like 1,000, I've got like 1,500 calories left. Yeah. I don't want to be eating like a massive meal in the evening. I feel quite uncomfortable. So I'd rather kind of like, once that second training session is done, I'm like, cool, I have another meal, and then I've got like one meal and left with maybe a snack or something. It's just a lot easier to kind of distribute it. And like I say, picking your battles, looking at the program, and if it says, right, you've got the option to do something 4 to 6 intervals for something. If my goal is the strength, like learning to kind of not, bury myself session 1, because I'll struggle to hit the percentages and the reps or whatever I need to do in session 2. So that's the key for me is if you can, a little bit of something before session 1. If not, then post-workout nutrition is really important, because if your goal is that second session, like, let's fuel up. Like we need to go into that session ready to smash it.
Yeah, that's it. You got to prioritize what's going to, move the needle for you the most. And Tom said he's trying to get stronger. So, if you take that bird's eye view, if he's not eating before his first workout, then the first meal might even be 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning. Then we don't want to be chasing it, guys. We've got to be proactive. So, and like I say, like if you've got to split your session, be sensible on how you do that. The coaches will help you to do this. Reach out to them, like ask about how can I split the sessions or follow the programming to make it work for you. Okay. We have done a video on double sessions, so make sure you check this out on the JST page. Now, I'm going to talk about this, Tom, and get your opinion, because I'm probably hit a number of these reasons why I don't get stronger. So, look, one of the main things is too many extras, junk volume is what we kind of coined it as, and look, you've got a really amazing structured program to follow, guys. And if you're just then getting sucked into doing an Instagram workout with your mate on a rest day, or, tagging on extra kind of, bicep curls. That's never a bad thing. But what I mean is like too many extras, like that will impact your recovery. It will impact your next day's performance. It might create too much fatigue, in a certain area. So then you go into that session like under fueled or overtrained, and then all of a sudden, like say, you don't hit your percentages. And well, this is what we're trying to do, guys. We're trying to get stronger and improve, and you need that progressive overload. And like say, if you're not doing something that's structured and is going to allow you to do that, it might just be where you're potentially hitting a plateau. Tom, have you ever, worried about kind of, are you been through a bit of a strength phase at the moment? Has there any been times where you doubted yourself, maybe kind of being scared of putting on a bit of weight?
Massively.
Yeah.
I think, whether it's, again, this is another topic. We could go down a rabbit hole here, but I think, you do worry about, you have to be a certain weight, or you have to be a certain size, or you have to fit in the certain t-shirt, particularly if you're used to being in that, or maybe you've been on a bit of journey, like you've been a bigger guy, you've leaned up, and then you worry about the number going back up again. I see that a lot. But it sometimes it's just about putting the right kind of weight on. And if you do it in the right way, like, it's not just a bulk program. If you do it in the right way, you'll make what we call like lean gains. You should put lean muscle mass on. You shouldn't be too far away from kind of that kind of fighting weight, that kind of right body fat percentage. So I understand why people worry about eating enough, but more and more I see it now with males and females. Like as soon as they see the return that they get from eating just that little bit more, whether that's before training or just overall in the day, like their recovery's better, their performance is better, suddenly the barbell's not crushing them, then that's the thing. It's almost like you just got to jump with 2 feet. You just got to give it a go.
Yeah, exactly that, because the benefits are huge if we do it in a correct way. For all of the females watching this, I would definitely recommend checking out our coach Chloe. She's done a lean gains case study over the last over 8-week period, and there's a podcast on it, on the World Class Basic podcast, with her talking through these issues of psychologically, like eating a little bit more and wanting the scale to go up, but the effect that it had on her performance and recovery was amazing. And so I would highly recommend checking that out. And it's not just a female thing, like you say, it's a male thing of putting on body fat, looking a certain way, and we all want to look good. Like I say, this isn't a bulk program. It's not talking about just putting on muscle mass. It is about fueling performance. And it goes on to kind of like being scared of putting on weight but not eating enough. So we get caught in this bit of a gray zone of being scared, not eating enough. All of a sudden we don't make progress in terms of our strength. Okay. So make sure that you are eating enough of the right things in the right amounts across the day, rather than just like backloading it. So follow the process. This will happen. Kind of goes on to number 1 here, not resting enough. Like, when we talk about rest, we talk about actual recovery, and the guys structure in recovery days through the program and making sure that you do bloody follow them. Like, it's the bottom line. It's not much more complicated than that. Now, if you're going out and doing a 90-minute EMOM, or a 20k run, bike ride, Ironman training, whatever on your rest day, then you're probably not going to get the most out of the program. So stick to it. If you want to add any extras in, then that's definitely where you would reach out to the coaches and get some advice. Guys, we are going to talk about sleep for sure in the future, because it is an absolute game changer. We really I know people talk about the importance of sleep, and it is a massive area, and I'm fully aware that people have got kids, shift workers, this, whatever, like just saying sleep more is a bit of a lazy recommendation. So we will do one on sleep, because Tom, you had some really interesting stuff from your case study on using Motion Nutrition Unplug, and didn't actually have to get more sleep. You actually just improved the quality, and so again, for people, definitely worth checking out on the blog, but me and Tom will definitely do something on sleep very soon. Not eating enough carbohydrates. Now, look, guys, we are doing CrossFit. Okay, CrossFit is a glycolytic sport. It's a glycolytic activity. What I mean by this is, to perform at your best, you need carbohydrates. Yes, we can do it with low carb, but it is not going to be optimal. And anybody that says anything different, send them my email address. So Tom, just talk us through just eating enough carbs, because you've been following a kind of plant-based diet recently, and that's naturally a little bit higher in carbohydrates, and often people get scared of not eating enough protein on a plant-based diet, but actually, carbohydrates can have, although increasing energy levels, can have some other effects as well.
Yeah, I mean, all carbs, proteins, fats, they all contain calories which deliver energy. Okay. However, like protein is like what I'd say is like at the bottom of the list. So what we think about when we talk about protein sparing is providing enough carbs so that the body, doesn't convert them into energy. We want protein to be used for all those, good processes that it's there for, not just, muscle mass and recovery, but, whether it's things like immune system, so it's supporting roles within the body, repairing muscle tissue. So, again, not only are carbs, great for energy and recovery, let's say if they can take that role and responsibility on effectively within the body, we can leave protein to do what we're asking it to do and what we think of it as. And from a plant-based point of view, naturally, I'm not going to maybe hit a target, a protein target than say if I was eating meat and fish, etc. So then naturally, the amount of carbs that I eat goes up because there's more space technically within my diet, and a lot of my protein sources come with added carbs as well. And again, suddenly I found that performance went up, recovery went up. So definitely, even if it's like one plant-based meal a day, I've done this recently with a few clients, like in their evening meal or something, away from their training, where they haven't got to worry about fiber and digestion. Suddenly just changing that to a plant-based meal, like the quality goes up, different foods in their diet, etc. And, they report back about, energy and recovery and those positives as well.
Yeah. You say about eating a little bit more calories, but your weight hasn't changed that much, has it? Even though you were increasing the amount of calories.
Yeah.
There was a knock-on effect. You had more energy, better training.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, like we spoke about, it's happened to myself. It's happened to multiple clients where actually, again, putting a little bit more fuel in the tank, but suddenly their output is so much higher in a session.
Yeah.
Like the barbell doesn't feel as heavy. 1 or 2 reps extra on those handstand push-ups and pull-ups, it all accumulates just by putting a little bit more in the tank. And like I say, just kind of just backing it, just trusting the process. I can understand that the hesitation about it, but as someone who's been there and now I've coached people through it as well, it's surely, although the reason why we go to the gym is to, in CrossFit, it is to get, better. It's the performance. It's not so much about the aesthetic. That's almost like a byproduct.
Yeah.
So if the goal is performance, like we need to, fuel up and like just, being friends with carbs again is the number one priority for a lot of people.
It is. You need to make him your mate. And Tom kind of spoke about it there. Like, we posted something on Instagram, a quote about, long term, your diet should be focusing on bettering your performance, but then short terms, short kind of spurts on body composition. Again, you got to eat the right things. You got to do it in the correct way. And that's why we have that process. If you follow that process, do it in the correct way, make small adjustments, you won't put on body fat. You won't put on bulk. You'll put on usable weight, but your energy levels will go up. And that's going to allow you to keep progressing. So yeah, we'll come back onto carbs, I'm sure, in future videos and chats. So again, we're talking about meal frequency. So we touched on it earlier, Tom, about eating a little bit more frequently. Now, I'm not talking the old bodybuilding style diet of 9 meals a day or whatever it is, each one out of Tupperware and whatever, but someone that is struggling to maybe get stronger and wants to increase their performance and increase their overall calories, rather than changing every single meal, how about just adding in a little extra? And before bed is a really sensible way to do it, because it's a nice way to increase growth and repair. It's a good way to increase, let's say, an aid sleep. Eating before bed, we've all been in that carb coma, when we eat and boom, want to go to sleep. Not saying to eat a pizza before bed, but it's a nice way that actually we can, like I said, increase overall calories, but it needs to be done in a correct way. Okay. Now, the reasons why there's lots of different research out there about eating before bed and how that can actually increase, muscle mass and increase strength and, like say, distribute your calories a little bit more evenly. Because when we sleep, we get a really kind of good spike in growth hormone, when we the first half of our sleep. really the first 30 to 45 minutes is where we see a real big increase. And this is why there's lots of research on napping in the afternoon as well, because if you, this is, before bed, but if you napped, you get that also that, 20-minute, 30-minute nap, you're going to go, boom, you get another spike in growth hormone. So, elite athletes that nap in the afternoon, it's no wonder that their body composition is good and that they can recover well and handle the volume, because they might be able to get 2 spikes in growth hormone. Now, if we were to put some building blocks in here just before bed, all of a sudden we've got all the builders at the building site, and then we've got all the raw materials to build. So this is a really nice kind of visual why I wanted to put that in there. So it's a really useful strategy, but we've got to do it in the correct way. So Tom, do you eat before bed, or you just have your evening meal and then
No, I eat before bed. It's an easy way again for me to bump up calories and just kind of box anything off. If I'm a little bit short of the day, I can just add it in.
Yeah.
So protein sources for me will be, it's still something that I'll enjoy. So like normally like a high protein yogurt, but maybe I'll make a shake. I know some people who will eat just maybe some chicken breast, or they'll have some cottage cheese, that kind of thing. Normally with a little bit of carbohydrate, so maybe like a bit of muesli or some oats, something like that, kind of thrown on top, or a little bit of fruit, a little bit of fat, maybe nuts, seeds, or chia seed, flax seed can be nice sprinkled on top, or a little bit of nut butter potentially. It's just, again, we just need to be sensible that we're not eating like 500, 600, 700 calories, because we want this food to digest. We don't want to be waking up or anything like that. So kind of 200 to 350 calories there is perfect. We still, if we add all those things up, if we want a decent amount of protein with a little bit of carbs, a little bit of fat, we're going to get that number. We don't just want to have like 100 calories on its own. It's not going to give us enough. So it can be a higher protein dose in that pre-bed meal. No problem at all.
Yeah, like Tom said, it's important to hit a certain threshold with protein, and to do that, like you say, you need a certain amount of calories, and all the other extras are just going to help with recovery and performance for the next day. So yeah, we like to cap it around 350, but say anyway, like Tom said, 200 to 350 is about right. And then maybe having that around an hour before bedtime, it's quite a nice thing. You can have it a little bit, sooner. You want 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is. But yeah, try not to kind of just eat it and then go straight to bed. And give your body a little bit of time to just digest that, and you'll hopefully start to see some real progress. Guys, we've got a couple of links to some articles, and if you have downloaded the slides, if not, they're linked on the post on the hub as well, about how to eat more calories, and a little bit of lesson on mass moves mass, like we talked about. Getting stronger is not just about muscle mass. We want to be increasing the right type of weight. Now, guys, just to finish on, we're going to talk through quickly how to set your diet up on the hub really, really quickly. Okay, so nutrition plans, you can come to the strength pathway. Okay, this is a step-by-step guide of how to improve your strength. So you should go and get your strength in place. We've got 3 pillars of getting stronger. Again, there's reasons why we're maybe not getting stronger. We do have regular Q&As, guys, on strength. So if you are wanting to ask some specific questions, you can go onto the dashboard. There'll be a link to the Q&A there, and you can just kind of drop into that and ask any questions. Okay. We have the nutrition plan. So like I said, you can get your nutrition plan in place. Read through the strength guide. It goes into more principles of what it takes to get stronger. Talks about protein synthesis across the day, some really key concepts. And then you can come into the strength diet template. Okay. You can make a copy of this. And if you want to follow this and actually watch these, because this makes some things super easy. And then make sure you check out the FAQ section as well, because it is where I kind of talk through some bits and pieces, making things super, super simple. If you haven't used one of our templates, it is a way to personalize your calories and macros. So as you come in, do this on a laptop, please, or a desktop, because it's a little bit fiddly on a mobile. Just change the things in the green boxes. That's all you need to do. These 7 things, change them. Now, look, there's different levels of muscle gain. Now, this is probably like strength performance rather than actual muscle gain. So if we're really hit a plateau and we're really, maybe a hard gainer or someone that really struggles to kind of put on muscle mass, muscle size, then I would be like, maybe go to aggressive. If you're actually quite a big guy or big girl already, like you don't necessarily need to put on weight, but you just want to fuel performance, then I'd probably say gradual or moderate is the way you want to kind of set things up. Okay. So once you do that, it will give you your calories and macro targets. Again, follow the principles. Hit these two numbers first, calories and protein over the day. Then you can start to kind of worry about this. You can come in here, make sure you choose the number, and then everything is calculated for you guys. So we've got the meal breakdowns, we've got the snacks. If you want to have a shake, you can enter that in and it adjusts your intake, and then use all of the recipes and meal breakdowns and stuff like that. So please just use this, guys, watch all the videos, and then reach out to us if you have any further questions. Make sure you check out these resources that we've linked as well, because he's going to give you some insight into some things that are going to help you get the most out of your strength bias programming. T, anything you want to wrap up with, or are we all good?
I think we're all good.
Amazing. So guys, thank you so much. If you did make it this far, well done. Give you a massive pat on the back. We will be doing loads more videos on this, guys, as you will see on the JST specific page. If there's anything you want us to cover, questions, topics, let us know. Reach out to us, and then we'll get right on this. But thank you very much. Now go train and go eat, and let's get stronger.